Students, counselors, families, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever it is in the world you are joining us. Thank you so much for joining StriveScan's virtual college exploration program. This program is in partnership with the colleges that change lives, and I have a few housekeeping items before we begin with Juniata College. First and foremost, you're encouraged to ask questions throughout this session via the Q&A button that you see on your screen. When you submit a question, it gets sent to all of our panelists, and they'll work to answer the question during the session and at the conclusion of the session. They may not get to every question during this 45-minute presentation, but they will receive a transcript of all of the questions and can follow up with you afterward as well. As a reminder, your camera and your microphone are turned off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. So if you do have questions, type them in through that Q&A. This is one of 50 individual information sessions and panel presentations being run through Tuesday evening through the colleges that change lives. We encourage you to check out the upcoming presentations as well as the recordings from past presentations at strivescan.com/virtual/CTCL, the same exact place you went to register for today's session. Finally, when you signed up for today's program, you received a barcode. You don't need that barcode for this virtual program. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Alicia.
Thank you, Zach. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Alicia Bursler. I'm Associate Dean of Admission here at Juniata College, and we're going to give you some information, and do feel free to submit your questions throughout. We have Molly and Matt with us. They're also admission counselors here at Juniata, so they're going to make sure that we get your questions answered throughout the presentation today. So feel free to interact with us. You can see there on our welcome slide, that's our beautiful campus quad, pretty similar to today out there. You can see our beautiful rolling hills behind there. So we'll start out with a beautiful picture just like today. It's actually the first day of classes today. So all right, here is an aerial view of beautiful Huntingdon, Pennsylvania. If you're not super familiar with Pennsylvania, we're kind of right in the south center of the state. You see we have our rolling hills around us. We have the Juniata River nearby, so we have a ton of outdoor recreation around us, but we also have our beautiful little town of Huntingdon that we all love and call home. So we'll learn a little bit about that today as well. Some of those fast facts for you: like many CTCL schools, we're a small, close-knit, supportive school, but we do have some really cool features based on our location as well as some of our academics. But here's some of those kind of, common stats for you. We have about 1,500 students on campus. We have students from all over the country and all over the world, and hopefully we have all of you joining us today from all over the country and the world as well. We have small classes, a lot of dedicated full-time faculty to work with each and every one of you throughout your 4 years at Juniata, and a ton of different clubs and organizations that you can take part in, whether they're related to your academic interests, your service interests, just your fun, crafty interests like knitting or Quidditch or Star Wars or something like that. So something for everyone throughout the college for you to take advantage of. We really take pride in what we like to call our strong supportive community. So we have kind of everybody on campus available to you with the goal of supporting you as a student through graduation and on to your next step. So we're going to share some details of how we go about that with you. One of our main things is that we have a 2-advisor system at Juniata. So every single student on campus, whether you're a first-year student coming in the summer or a senior ready to graduate, has 2 advisors. One of these advisors is kind of your main academic advisor, usually a faculty member who is really familiar with your curriculum, your career goals, your academic goals, what degree you're pursuing, and they help you through the scheduling, the finding relevant outside of the classroom experiences throughout your whole 4 years. You also have a mentor in addition to your main academic advisor. So this is someone who may be a professor, but also may be across campus, like one of us in the admission office, who's just kind of there as a second resource for you to connect with, for you to go to should you have questions that you don't know how to answer, and just to be another person of support and a friendly face on campus. So we really enjoy supporting you, and you get 2 people throughout your 4 years to help you throughout that. We also have a whole office called the Quest office, which is dedicated to supporting students and recent graduates and alumni throughout the process. So this includes things like academic coaching and tutoring, but our accessibility office, as well as career development services, all sorts of things, kind of any challenge or question you might have, Quest has an answer or a resource to help you get through it. And all of these support systems we like to see come together to really inspire student success at Juniata. So we have a really high four-year graduation rate, so 96% of our students are in and out of here in 4 years or fewer. If you do come in with transfer credits, AP credits, that sort of thing, you may be able to finish a little sooner. Students are really successful once they graduate and go on to their next step, whether that is a health profession school, a career, or graduate school. We have really successful students going on to those things right after graduation. And we also see students find success in some major fellowships. We consistently place students in Fulbrights every year, and have also had Goldwater and Newman and Gilman and many other fellowships and honors for our students and graduates year to year. This is just a little set of examples of some of the organizations and companies that these successful students go on to. It's always kind of curious, what am I going to do afterward? Where am I going to go? Where will I be working? Where will I be studying? So just to give you an idea, some of the places that our students end up. But I think more important is the quote that I have highlighted there. It's from one of the postgraduate surveys that students, after they graduate, give us information back and tell us about their experience. And almost all of Juniata grads say that their preparation, whether it was in the classroom, outside of the classroom, in relation to Juniata, has prepared them directly for their present job or grad program. So students, by and large, feel that the experiences they have, the things they participate in, the classes they take, really have directly prepared them for the things they're doing, and they feel very, very equipped to be successful in their next steps, even beyond the classroom and beyond Juniata. So that's really important for students, but also perhaps for family members and parents as well, thinking about, is my student going to be ready for that next step? And Juniata grads really feel like they are. So another really cool thing about Juniata, in addition to our 2-advisor system and our really strong support system, is that we have a very creative and flexible academic program system. So you as a student work with your advisors to actually design your own education, and you can really have a lot of flexibility and actually agency in that process. So not just picking a major off of a shelf, but really working to shape that academic program toward your precise academic and career goals that you want to work toward. So I'll talk a little bit about the academic program. It's called the POE, but first, just to kind of show you, every school has general education credits. You may have heard that term, gen eds, before. What are those things that you, quote, have to take to kind of round out your liberal arts education? Well, at Juniata, we recently kind of restructured that to really help you as a student see that it's not just about things that you have to take or boxes you have to check off for this, quote, well-rounded education, but it's a really intentional process where you work from your first year foundations course as an incoming first year student the whole way through your senior capstone in your area of study to really intentionally think about, how these other areas of study, how these liberal arts requirements, how these other departments and ways of thinking kind of relate. Because everything is interconnected, and that's really something we want you to learn and experience as you work towards your education at Juniata. So this diagram just kind of gives you a sense of that. You can see at the bottom, you start with some of your first year courses that everyone takes together. A lot of these are themed and taught by professors across the college, so it gives you an opportunity to learn about a wide variety of interesting areas to you while building skills like research and writing and critical thinking that'll prepare you for your POE, but also your other courses. The Ways of Knowing courses, that gives you an introduction into the ways that different disciplines and different areas of study think and create research and create knowledge. So you get a little bit of exposure to that so you can understand not only how your area of expertise works, but how those areas around you work. And then the Self in the World classes really help you kind of broaden your area of thought and think about, how do I exist as myself in this community, but also how do I exist and interact, in the United States, in the country, and in the globe as well. You do some really cool interdisciplinary courses in your upper years to kind of pull those things together and really explore how disciplines work together. And then you do reflect on all of this with your senior POE capstone. So that'll be specific to your area of study, but really makes you think about, how does my POE, how does my specific area of study relate to all these other areas? And here's some examples of some POEs. So you may have an interest in something more standard like biology or chemistry or mathematics education. We do have all of those programs offered to you, and feel free, if there's a specific program you're interested in, to ask some questions about that if there's something you want to learn more about. You can follow kind of that outline if you like more structure and more guidance with your advisors. Or if there is something that you want to combine or really explore in a more specific way, that's when the individualized POE comes into play. So these are a bunch of examples of self-designed or individualized POEs, kind of the ultimate way we do flexibility and creative learning at Juniata. So you won't notice these names of programs necessarily on the list on the website or on the list on the Common App, but these are all programs that you can pursue as you work with your advisors, with the classes we have offered and with the professors we have teaching. So all things you can do that students have created for themselves. So really the sky is the limit in terms of what you want to learn about and what you want to work toward. So feel free to kind of expand your mind and go beyond just biology and English and things like that. And if there's something you're really interested in, see how we might be able to help you craft that area of interest into a program. You still get a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. It's just kind of that structure of the courses you take and the specific name of that program that we have a little bit more flexibility with. So you'll still have that bachelor's degree, but you really have a unique 4-year experience of academics that's specific to you. The next few slides, we're going to talk about some of those outside of the classroom experiences. So you'll be learning all those areas, you'll be exploring those topics in the general curriculum, but in your POE. But you'll also be doing things outside of the classroom that help you feel prepared, as many Juniata graduates do, for those next steps. So these are the 4 main areas: the research, internships, study abroad, and then community engaged learning. So we'll do a little overview of each of those. Know that there are many more options than we have shared here, but just know in general that there are many, many creative ways for you to get involved in the community, but also in your own communities as you kind of apply your learning that you're doing at Juniata, and that Juniata's offices really support you in finding and pursuing these experiences. So research is something that I think a lot of natural sciences students think about in terms of being in a lab and collecting samples, like the picture of the student there. But it is also applied to areas like history, English, education even, the social sciences, the humanities, the fine arts. They all do research if that's something you're interested in. So there's some that you will do in your own courses, but a lot of students do it on their own with faculty mentors. You can start as early as your freshman year in the spring if there's an area of interest you're really excited about getting started with. And then there are also lots of opportunities for students to present the research. So if this is something you've already thought about, you may know that this is an important part of it, is sharing what you've learned and sharing it broadly with that academic community. So we have students go to the National Council for Undergraduate Research. We have our own kind of research and project presentation symposium on campus called the Liberal Arts Symposium, where students get to share all of their projects from the year. And then lots of areas regionally and nationally, students will go with their area of study to present there as well. Internships, very important in terms of students preparing directly for a specific career or job opportunity after. This map kind of illustrates how we have students all over the country for internships. It can be something local during the semester for credit right in Huntington, PA. It can be something in your hometown over the summer, or it can be something across the country if that's something that you're interested in. So the Quest office works with our alumni office. We have a lot of great opportunities for students, and kind of wherever you're interested in, they'll work to try and get you an opportunity there. Excuse me one moment. Study abroad is also really big at Juniata. We do have a bit of a pause on that right now with the current situation, but know that our study abroad office is still working to keep our programs going and find opportunities for students to connect, even in the current situation. So something you can do for a semester or a whole year, or also something you can do in the short term over our winter break or over the summer break. We have lots of professors who actually do individualized study abroad courses that are 3 to 7 weeks long. So even if you're not ready to commit to a full semester or a full year, there are many cool ways to kind of learn about a specific topic or area of interest for a shorter term and still really get that immersive experience without going, for a really long time. Community engaged learning is also a big part of the curriculum now. So beyond what you would normally see as just kind of, service hours, things like that, these are really integrative courses that we work with community partners on. So professors and students look for kind of a need that the community has, a need that needs to be filled, and kind of ask themselves, how can we as a college and as a group of learners and members of the community, how can we help fill this need? You'll see there are a few examples of some of these ongoing partnerships that we have. We also work a lot with our local hospital to help with a public health kind of standpoint. We have Westminster Woods nearby. It's a 65 and older community, so we do a lot there, whether you're in education, a social work, a sociology, an environmental science student. There is probably a way that you can get involved, not only in learning more deeply about your topic that you're going to be exploring, but also helping the community in the process. Now for some of the fun stuff. So athletics and traditions, some of that out of the classroom stuff that's less related to specific academic courses and more related to kind of developing and having fun as a person. So you can see we are Division III, and if you're not familiar with NCAA divisions, Division III, I would say, is the best kind of combination of student athletes. So competitive teams, it's still a commitment in terms of training and practice, and you do have a bit of travel along with that, but you're definitely a student first, and coaches and your professors know that, and so they work with you to kind of pursue your main goal of academics first while still remaining a competitive athlete. We have 23 different varsity sports. If you have any questions about those, feel free to reach out. We can also connect you with coaches. So if you want to learn more about the specifics of what it's like to be a college athlete at a Division III school, we're happy to help you with that. Traditions. Some of our most fun moments at Juniata, I think, come from our traditions. So a lot of schools have different traditions. I think some of ours are a bit more quirky than others, but you can see in the top left corner there, we have storming of the arch, perhaps one of the more active traditions that we have, but students get together as first years, and we have a stone archway under our one dorm building called the Cloister Arch. And so students will try to, as first years, burst through the rugby team as the rugby teams defend the arch. So all sorts of fun rumors about what you might win if you burst through, but I will tell you the rugby team is quite formidable, and so we have not had much success with that, but that's something that would happen in the fall. We also have Madrigal, which is a kind of dinner dance where the faculty and staff serve the students. So you can see on the right side there, students singing the 12 Days of Christmas, which is one of the kind of competitive songs of Madrigal. And leading up to Madrigal is something that we call tenting, which comes from Madrigal, but is its own very cool tradition in and of itself, where students camp out on the quad and compete in all sorts of different competitions and things like that to get the top spot of head tent, to get the first ticket purchase for Madrigal, so that you can be front and center and have the 5 golden rings table at Madrigal. Now I'll share some of the kind of more logistical stuff. If you are a rising senior, you may be thinking a lot about this right now. If you are a rising sophomore, junior, anyone else, good to kind of take note of just to give yourself a sense of what to expect for your senior year. So feel free to take notes on these and ask us any questions. We have a couple different decision rounds, and we have 2 different applications that we're a part of. So you may know about the common application, you may know about the coalition application. They're both applications that you can fill out mostly one time and send to a variety of schools. A lot of ZDCL schools are also partners on these applications. And then you have some decision rounds that you can decide to apply by with different deadlines. You'll see those listed there. Early decision is probably the most important one to pay attention to. It is a binding decision, so it is for those students who know, if I get into the school and can afford to attend, I'm definitely going there. So that's something that if you're really set on one school, you're welcome to apply early decision, and then if accepted, you're expected to withdraw your applications from other schools. Early action, really popular. We just have 2 rounds there depending on kind of where you are in the process, how ready you are with your application materials, but there's not really a difference between early action and early action 2, just how soon you'll hear back from us. So if you're ready pretty early, know where you want to apply, but aren't ready to commit super early, early action might be a good choice for you, whether that's December 1 or January 15. You'll hear back with the decision very quickly, and also start the financial aid process a little more quickly as well. But if you're not quite ready for that, you do have the whole way through March 15th, our regular decision deadline, to go ahead and apply. So if you're not ready for any of those early rounds, that's okay too. You do have through March to get that application to us. And to note, whether you apply on the coalition or the common application, there's no application fee. So you never have to worry about that when you apply to Juniata. Here are some of those things, especially seniors might be thinking about. What do I need? So the main application with kind of your demographic questions, those sorts of things, whether that comes from the Common App or the Coalition. You'll need a high school or college transcript. If you are having any dual enrollment courses, also have them send your college transcript to us as well. You'll have 1 essay to complete. The Common App and Coalition essays, there's a wide variety of topics you can write to. You just have to pick one of those, and it's up to about 650 words. So feel free to pick one that is very exciting to you. Something you're more interested in writing about always comes through as a better essay than something you think we want to hear. Really what we want to read about is whatever makes you happy and excited, because those are the best essays to read. So don't overthink it, but do proofread it would be my advice. And then you'll need 1 recommendation for us from either a core subject teacher, so an English, math, social studies, science teacher, or your counselor at school is able to write that as well. In terms of standardized tests, this may be extra important this year too, as some of you may have experienced the testing effects of COVID-19. We've always been test optional at Juniata for many years now, so we're still kind of abiding by that. You do not have to submit an SAT or ACT score if you do not have it because of COVID-19, but also if you've taken it and you don't feel it's a good representation of your academic ability, you do not have to submit those. There's no additional essay or application requirement. Test optional is just you don't submit your scores. We review every application in a very holistic manner, whether you're a test optional student or not. There's no separate pile. So what we look at is your academics, your community contributions, what are you excited about? What clubs do you participate in? We read your essay to see, a little bit about you, but also your writing strength. And then we look to see what other people say about you in those recommendation letters. And the test scores are just one part of that, whether you submit them or not. You're still eligible for all academic scholarships if you do not submit test scores, so that stays the same. No worries there about academic scholarships. And there's no sort of separate pile for test optional or not test optional, so you're still considered in the same way for admission. This is just kind of a rundown of many of the kind of academic scholarships that we have available, whether they're related to language and study abroad. We have a community scholarship that an alum or a parent of a current student is able to nominate you for if they think you're a good fit for Juniata. We have some academic scholarships in those top ones that are based on your application for admission, as well as some additional top scholarships for those really, really strong and outstanding students who are also really good leaders and community members. And then if you did take the PSAT and become a national merit finalist, there's some academic scholarship there as well. Any scholarship, any merit scholarship that you learn about when you're admitted stays with you all 4 years. And we also stack outside scholarships too. So should you get anything from your school or a different organization, that's always in addition to what Juniata has provided. And then the other part of the financial side, in addition to the merit scholarships or academic scholarships, is need-based aid. So these are federal loans, grants from Juniata, grants from the federal government, grants from the state, all sorts of different aid that's based on your family's financial situation. So the most important part of this for seniors would be to submit the FAFSA starting October 1st and make sure Juniata is on the list of schools to send it to if you're going to apply. That way our office can get that as soon as possible and start processing your aid award so you can get that. Or if you want to get started early and you're a senior or even junior or sophomore, you can go to our net cost calculator, which is linked there, but is also on our financial aid page on the admissions website. And you can put in your academic and some estimates of your family's financial information and get an estimate of what your net cost at Juniata to attend Juniata might be. We have a 4-year conditional guarantee as well. So as long as you follow kind of everything that your advisors tell you, don't just take one class a semester, that sort of thing, you will be able to graduate in 4 years. And should that not happen for some reason, you would not pay for any additional credits over that. So just something else to keep in mind. All right, so if anybody has any questions about the admissions process, financial aid, or any of the kind of academic or otherwise topics, please feel free to submit those to us. And then I just wanted to share a few opportunities if, this is a pretty broad overview of Juniata, but if you are interested in getting a little more in-depth, making some more connections with either students in our office across campus, professors, those sorts of things. We do have a lot of events, both virtual and in person, available coming up this fall. So you can visit juniata.edu/visit at any time, and that'll give you a really comprehensive list of the virtual options as well as our limited in-person options that we're offering too. So please feel free to check those out and register for those if that will be helpful to you as you kind of explore.
Alicia, we have a question about the diversity of our campus, both students and staff, and whether or not students of color feel welcomed and what the town experience is like for students of color.
Okay, so a lot of questions that I can't personally speak to, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely diversity and racial inequity and things, definitely topics on Juniata's campus as they have been throughout the recent years. Statistically, we're a predominantly white institution and have been working, especially over the past 5 years and with a future plan to increase the actual diversity in numbers, but also in tandem with program development as we get more students of color across campus, being able to not only have them on campus, but support them in a variety of ways. So we have a Dean of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion. Reggie Onito is our interim as we make a transition. Our last dean left for a different opportunity, but Reggie is working with student groups this summer, is working with faculty groups to kind of develop, in light of recent events, but kind of building on things we've done in the past to kind of develop more programs and spaces and kind of standards to help students feel more welcome on campus. I would say just not knowing personally, but hearing reports from students, it's a wide variety of experiences. Some students feel very supported by the community. Some students, it's much more noticeable that we are a predominantly white institution. In terms of town, It is a really small town. The college has a pretty good relationship with the town. Some students stay on campus more, some students venture into town more. But similarly, I mean, just in terms of students, I wouldn't want to kind of just make a blanket statement about students' experiences because I have heard, a variety. Some students, again, feel very welcome and at home in a smaller rural place in Pennsylvania. But some students do kind of find it more noticeable that, there are fewer people who look like them. Around town too. So that's, I mean, in part of the planning as well, just continuing to supplement, student experience and work on these things and have conversations with the mayor, who we have a really good relationship with, and, the Chamber of Commerce and things with this, and just continuing to build relationships for all students, but with that focus for students of color, because we do know that that's something that historically, Juniata has been a predominantly white institution, and just continuing to build up all of the students and provide the best opportunities for them no matter where they come from. So I would say a work in progress, but definitely a lot of positive experiences for students.
We also have a question about sort of, can you combine two POEs? How does that work?
Yeah, you can kind of do, I don't want to say whatever you want with a POE, but you can definitely do that. So if there are two kind of distinct programs that you're really interested in, both of them, kind of as they are, say, maybe bio and, I don't know, history, you could kind of look at both of those and take from both of those kind of like a double major. But you can also kind of deconstruct them more and combine more things. So things like, I'm trying to think of an example, like strategic communication would be a POE that's an individualized POE that's a little bit of the comm department, it's some of the marketing department, might even be some of the computer science department as well. So you can kind of do two in a more traditional dual major way, or you can really kind of deconstruct them and reconstruct them in those individualized programs.
A question about the town of Huntingdon. Is it walkable? Is there public transportation? And do students need a car?
Yeah, so most of the town is very walkable within campus. There is kind of probably one shopping center that's not walkable, but a lot of students do have cars on campus. I would say as an individual student, you don't need a car. Between some of our shuttle opportunities, as well as students just being very friendly and sharing. I would never say that every student needs a car for that kind of every once in a while trip. Either to the next town over or just a little farther off campus. But the majority of the shops and cafes and restaurants are walkable. One of the main grocery stores is about 3 blocks down from campus. It has a pharmacy there as well. So overall, a very walkable town. Any other curiosities or questions, please feel free to share. I know we have about 10 more minutes, so we're happy to share anything with you.
Question about dance, specifically ballet on campus.
So we do have some dance classes through the theater department. Not a full dance program, so you would not be able to study dance on its own, but there are some dance classes offered through the theater arts department. There's also the dance ensemble, which is a Juniata student organization. They are very student driven, as all of our clubs and organizations are. So I would say if there's a core group of students who are very interested in ballet, it might be more ballet focused, but it is a wide variety of students. So they do all things from kind of modern and contemporary to jazz, to hip hop, to a lot of cultural dance as well. A lot of our international students have shared some of their cultural dance traditions within dance ensemble. So I would say if you want to really do a deep dive in ballet, we're probably not going to be able to offer you a very specific deep dive into ballet, but if you want to kind of continue dance as a hobby and a fitness and wellness activity, there are a variety of ways to do that in a more general way as well.
It looks like that's all the questions that we have right now. Give people maybe one more minute to get in any questions that they might have.
Then I will also put up my personal contact information. You can submit your questions here, and if we didn't get to them, we'll get to them later, but also feel free to email or call specifically, and I can either help you with any of your questions or concerns, or if there's a person better suited to answer them, I can also connect you with that member of campus as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We hope you have a great rest of the day.
Great. Thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing this information. Students and counselors, thank you for tuning in. As you close this window, a very quick 4-question survey will appear. We do ask for your feedback. We encourage you to sign up for additional CTCL presentations and check out the recordings at strivescan.com/virtual/CTCL. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.